Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Give me give, give me some time to link this up with my PowerPoint slides. Okay, so okay, okay, this is where we left off yesterday. So you had homework to explore career landscape. Okay, your task, your homework yesterday and the weekend before that was to explore career landscape, right? So I hope you um, check out these websites, jobdb.com, adego.com, and any other websites that you would like to explore. For example, you may have explored Hilton.com, right? And then look at the career page of Hilton.com if you're interested in working with Hilton.com or Marriott.com. Okay. So that's your industry, right? That's your industry. Maybe you want to work in airlines industry. Maybe you want to work in hotels industry. Maybe you have IT skills and you want to work with agoda.com, right? Or bookings.com. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip to this slide, all right? This is about job description and person specification. Okay, so this is a British curriculum. They call it job description and person specification, but by American standard or US standard and Thai standard, we use the term we use the term so there's job title, right? If you've done your homework, then you have seen the job title and you have seen the job description, okay? And you have seen the job qualification, okay? But British, they use the word specification. Okay? For instance, the job title that you may have looked at might be a sales representative for a hotel, for a wedding reception, right? Wedding sales rep. Job description would be something like meet target sales meet annual target sales, right? You have to sell. So you work for a hotel, for example, you work for a hotel, and then the hotel has a wedding reception area, like a vacant room where they can sell wedding event to bride and groom to be. So you have to meet annual target sales. You have to work with beverage. Okay. So coordinate with other departments. For example, beverage, food and bev, F&B, right? Food and bev. And you have to do other assigned tests, right? So many places they like to job description, other assigned tests. Not related to this. If you have free time and then your boss assign you things, then you have to help him or her, right? So now my question to you is, what would be a job qualification for such job description? Job description is what you do, right? Is what you do. Being a wedding sales representative. What are some of the job qualification? If you have done your homework, I think you have seen what job qualification means. Okay. So help me fill them out, right? You can just say it out loud or you can type. What job qualification for such person? Of the job qualification for such person, for such position. Anyone? Anyone? Ice, Olga, กวีกุลแก้มใสมิกกี้ Posh. Anyone? Here we go. Teamwork, very good. Job qualification would be something like being team player. Very good. What else? What else? I think the first one would be okay. Let me go first. Okay, let me go second after Posh. Undergrad, undergrad, undergrad. Age 22 to 40, for instance. In Thailand, they do include age, right? But if you work for international firms, this is discrimination, right? This is discrimination. But in Thailand, people do it. So undergrad age 22 to 40. Very good. GED or high school diploma. Yeah, okay, okay. Good communication skill. Very good. GED or high school diploma, right? Okay, let's have it your way. Very good. And good communication skill. Good communication skill, English is required. Chinese is a plus. English is required. I mean, you'd have to be able to speak English. Chinese is a plus, means if you can speak Chinese, then that's good. Then that's good. Job experience, okay? It might say something like very good. It might say something like 0 to 3 years experience. 0 to 3 years experience mean you can be a newcomer, right? You can be freshly graduated, and then fresh graduates are welcome. You might have 3 years experience and you can apply, or you can be fresh out of school. You can still apply, right? This is junior level sales representative, not sales manager. But if it were a sales manager, then you need to have, say, 5 to 10 years experience. Okay. You get the idea, right? A job qualification is like what kind of person you have to be in order to do these job descriptions, right? Another thing, another quality might be outgoing, extroverted, and it might be something like able to travel to the country. Country here means other provinces, right? Not other countries. Or it might say able to travel abroad, right? Okay. So what? Let me hear from you. Let me hear some more from you. From the homework that you have done, what are some of the job description? What are some of the job title that you have explored? What are some of the job title that you have explored? You can type it. Anyone can type it, right? Let's play a game. Someone type a job title, and then I will put up a job title, right? And then the rest of you have to write down job description and job qualification for that. Okay, so the first one, let's go. Anyone, give me a job title from your homework that you have done. Give me a job title in airline industry or in hotel industry. Give me a job title, any job title in any department in hotel or in industry. Very good. A hotel manager. Okay. So job title is a hotel manager. Okay. So now I will give you a couple of minutes, right, to think about this independently, right? What would be a job description and job qualification of a hotel manager? What would be a job description and job qualification of a hotel manager? What would be a job description and job qualification of a hotel manager? High problem solving skills. A full-time job, 25 to 35 years old. Very good. Question is high problem solving skills. Is that job description or qualification? Very good. High problem solving skill would be high problem solving skill would be job qualification. Okay. Full-time job, 25 to 35 years old. Very good. Full-time job, you can write it down or you don't have to write it down because normally most jobs are full-time. If it's part-time, they're gonna write the job listing will specify that it's part-time. If it's a contract, then they will specify that it's a contract, right? Okay, full-time. 25 to 35 years old. A more pleasant way of saying this would be 3 to 10 years experience, right? Because 25 to 35 would be age discrimination, okay? And if you write something like prefer female or prefer male, that would be a problem. That's also discrimination. You cannot write, you shouldn't be writing down age, marital status. So new slide, right? Discrimination, age, sex, like prefer single. You cannot write that. You cannot write that. All right. Age, sex, marital status. Um, belief, religion. You cannot write that. You cannot write that. Okay. Why does age matter, right? Why does age matter? Because some jobs they want young people. Many jobs want young people because they're energetic, enthusiastic, even though they don't have a lot of experience. Okay. And some jobs may require older people, more senior people, because they need experience. Okay. But usually they don't specify age. They would specify experience instead of age. Sex, some jobs like secretary, they would like they would prefer females more than males because females have some of the advantages over males. For example, organization skill or attention to detail, right? So job description would just write high organization skills and attention to details, and they cannot write like they cannot write something like I prefer female. That's discrimination. But during the interview, right, all the males will be weeded out, right, and they will choose females. So marital status, why is this important? Because if you're married, hard to travel, right? If you're married and you have to travel to countryside, you have to travel abroad, then someone who is not married might be more suitable for this role. But still marital status, you cannot write it down. belief, beliefs and religion, beliefs and religion. You cannot write if this organization is, for example, Christianity based, and then you prefer to have Christians. You cannot write that, right? That's discrimination. Discrimination. Shape and size, shape and size, weight, height. You cannot write that. You cannot write that. If you work in the UK, if you work in the US, you cannot write those down. And picture, right? How handsome or how pretty you are. You cannot include that in the resume, in the job application and the job and the resume. Okay. So hotel manager, what else do we have? High problem solving skill, full-time job, 25 to 35 years old. Okay, anyone else? Come on, we don't have enough. Full-time, 3 to 10 years experience. Okay, what else? Help fill it in. Come on, help fill it in. So let's hear from Olga. Olga. Let's hear from Gamsai, Mickey, and Art. Kim Leng, Minnie. What else do we have? Come on, let's go. Let's go. What else do we have? A hotel manager. What does he or she have to do? Hotel manager. A degree in management. Very good. A degree in management is preferred, or experience in management. Very good. Proven experience in guest service, operation management, and team leadership. In Okay, very good. Okay, what else? What about job description? What about job description? What about job description? What does a hotel manager do? What does a hotel manager do? Come on, job description. Manage what? Manage what? So in a hotel, right? There's department of F&B, right? Food and service, food and beverages, and then department of room service, department of sales and marketing, department of facility, department of facility does like maintenance and construction, that sort. Department of um, I don't know, guest service, right? Different from room service. Okay, so we have many different departments, and then each department has a manager. So you have a manager of Department of Food and Beverages, right? So above all is the general manager, right? General manager is the ones that oversees all other departments, right? So the level is above each department's manager. So general manager is above the manager of food and beverage, is above the manager of room service, above the manager of sales and marketing. They kind of coordinate everyone together. So here, title hotel manager, let's assume that is, hold on one. So hotel manager, let's say it's a general hotel manager, GM, right? Let's assume it's a GM, general manager. What would be the job description? Something like oversee the performance of the hotel, right? Oversee the performance of the hotel. Oversee the customer satisfaction. Oversee other oversee the performance. Maybe, I don't know, oversee the performance of other departments. So each department has a manager that has to oversee the performance of its own department, right? So a GM would be to oversee everything, right? The big picture. So that's an example, right, of job description and job qualification. Okay. Let's come back a bit to this. Okay. 5.3 is about training design models. Training. So if you remember yesterday, we talked about HRM and HRD, right? And HRD, human resource development. So here we are talking about HRD, right? Because it's training. HRD is training. So when you train, people look for needs assessment. First of all, they need to know what kind of skills are the employees lacking behind, and they need a training plan. They need a lesson plan, right? Trainer training means the trainer at the hotel needs training. Okay, so trainer training or train the trainer For example, you might be a chef, right? You might be a master chef. You're very good at cooking, but the hotel wants you to teach these cooking skills to your sous chef or other assistant chefs, but you are not very good at training, right? Same as other, managers of other departments, right? Sometimes the professionals are not very good at transferring skills, teaching and training. So that's why they need to train the trainer here. And then training implementation, okay? It means just to train, right? And then training evaluation, the management needs to evaluate how the training went, okay? And then coaching and counseling. Now, coaching and counseling is different, slightly different. Coaching and counseling is kind of like in boxing. So you see the boxers, right? They go out in the middle of the ring fighting each other, and then when the break comes, they kind of go back into their own corner to listen to the coach at the council of how to improve it, right? So it's a bit different from teaching. Coaching and counseling kind of give you advice and directions, right? Rather than direct teaching. Okay, so okay, these slides, I'm just going to skim it, all right? Getting the participants' attention, starting the training objectives, the goal of the training, determine how you will teach the objectives, showing examples or demonstrating concepts, and checking that the participants or the students understand, right? These are the methods that the trainer of an organization has to perform and check. And there are different methods or ways of teaching, right? One is classroom methods. Classroom methods, everyone understand it. You guys sitting here listening to the lecture understand it, right? I understand it. Everyone has been a student, right? I myself have been a student at some point in my life, and it's just listening to your teacher give you a lecture, right? That's classroom methods. Aside from that, there's coaching and counseling that I have already explained, and then there's shadowing, right? So let me explain. When you start working, so as a student, right, 90% of your life is about classroom method, okay? And your coaching and counseling comes from your parents, right? The way your parents teach you, that's exactly what coaching and counseling is, right? And the way your teachers, so teachers at school, that's classroom method as a student. So your parents, coaching and counseling, right? Shadowing. So this is number one, right? Classroom method is number one, and then your parents, coaching and counseling is number two. Let me switch this, right? It looks confusing. Classroom method equals teacher at school. Okay. Coaching and counseling equals your parents at home, right? Preaching you. And then shadowing, not available, right? Shadowing means you observe your boss or your brother doing something and then you do it, right? So foreshadowing might be when your parents are cleaning the dish and then you watch them and then you help them clean the dish, right? So house chores, right? Your housework, your house chores. That's shadowing, right? This is probably like 90% of your life, right? Of everyone's life. And then coaching and counseling is like, well, let's say this is 70%. This is 25%. Okay. And house chore is like 5% of your life if you do house chore. But when you become an adult, as an adult, okay, so as an adult, classroom method is classroom method would be attending seminars. So when you go to work, sometimes during a weekend or during a week, your boss might send you to attend seminars. Okay. But that would be 10%, I think. So let me show you examples of seminars. Here, this is what I mean by seminars. Okay, so I Google in strategic training Thailand, right? And then you see this a lot of courses, right? In-house training program,คอร์สอบรมสัมมนาคอร์สเจ้าของธุรกิจอบรม SME Strategic Center, right? So let's have a look at the courses that they offer. Here, changing for growth, right? Effective cross-functional collaboration. Yeah, that's for manager. Learn how to learn. Okay, leadership, accountability, driving business. Systematic analytical thinking skill. Okay, inspirational leadership. And there's in-house training, right? Virtual class and then e-learning. In-house training means they send people to your organization to teach. That's called in-house training. So you work at Hotel Marriott, right? And then this organization sent a lecturer to Hotel Marriott to teach stuff. That's called in-house training, right? In-house means inside the organization. Okay. So classroom method seminars, right? That's probably 10% of your life. And then coaching and counseling, right? Coaching and counseling is not going to be your parents at home. Coaching and counseling is going to be your boss or your maybe your wife and husband, right? Right? Instead of your parents. Okay. And shadowing is not going to be house chores anymore unless your wife or husband forces you to. Shadowing would be your boss, your direct boss, or your co-workers. This is going to be 90% of your life, maybe 80, right? And then coaching and counseling would be, I don't know, 15%. Wait, let's break this down to 75, 15. Yeah, and then classroom method 10%. It all adds up to 100. Okay. Are we clear about this? Are we clear about this? Right? These are these slides that I just explained. Classroom method, coaching and counseling, and shadowing. Shadowing is to copy someone else's performance. Benefit of shadowing or copying your colleagues, right? Maybe at school you do shadowing too when you copy your friend's homework, right? A lot of people copy friends' homework. That's shadowing in action, right, at school. It builds confidence of new employees. It reduces interpersonal conflict, right? You copy your friend's work, you become friends. You cannot live without your friends. And fostering team spirit, okay? Fostering team spirit. Develop skills. It motivates you, right, to come to school. Lower cost of training because you don't need to hire um, other organizations that provide seminars. Okay, let's take a break for 15 minutes. Now it's 10:44, 45. Let's meet again at 11, okay? Then we will begin the next session 5.4. Meet again at 11. Okay, let's take a break. See you later. Okay, right now it's 11, so let's resume class. Let's resume class. Okay. All right. Are we back yet? Okay. So where were we? Where were we? Teaching, right? Teaching, counseling, and shadowing. Now, 5.4, the principles of recruitment and selection of staff, right? How do you recruit and how do you select staff, right? So we already discussed job description, job title, job description, and job uh, qualification or job specification. Okay. So experience, qualification or training, practical skills, personal qualities, and attributes. Let me ask you a critical thinking question. Okay. So all of you are students, right? All of you are students. All of you study full time. Okay. If you find something that you're really interested in, for example, a job at a hotel, airline, or pilot, or whatever it is, how do you how do you make yourself how do you distinguish yourself from your friends? How do you distinguish yourself from your friends? To compete in job market, how do you distinguish? Distinguish means to make yourself different, to stand out from your friends, right? Since all of you have a degree, so how do you distinguish yourself from your friends? Anyone, anyone, how do you distinguish yourself from other competitors, your colleagues, your friends, your classmates, anyone else? How do you make yourself stand out? Anything you're doing to make yourself stand out? I think some of you might be doing things to make yourself stand out. Aside from degree, aside from getting a degree, how do you make yourself stand out? Come on, anyone. Any idea? Anyone? You can start your side hustle, right? So on the side, in your free time, you can work part-time. If you really like sales, if you want to start business, you don't need to wait until you graduate. You can just start doing your homework in your free time now. For example, you might start a Facebook page or you might start a Shopee channel and start selling online, right? You might start going to trade fair to see what products are interested to you, are interesting to you, what products you are interested. Okay, and start your side hustle. If your interest is not in trading and sales, right? Let's say if your interest is in working for Agoda, right? Working for Agoda or for Booking.com, you can start learning about coding on your own. Everything is on the internet, right? There's like udemy.com, right? And other many other websites that you can learn it for free if you want, or you can pay to learn, right? You can get certificate of your interest, any interest you have, right? Graphic design. If you want to work for a hotel, in designing a hotel, you can get a graphic design or landscape design or interior design, right? You can start pursuing your interest. Basically, you can start pursuing your interest. Well, since we all are here studying travel and tourism, I assume that all your interests, your major interest is in hotel and tourism, right? But the word hotel and tourism is a broad term, right? Everyone here is here to get a degree, hopefully to get a job abroad in the UK, right? But then you need an age. You need an age or advantage, right? And these things that I explained above are what gives you an edge, what gives you an advantage, right, to yourself over other people. Okay. So advertising a job, right? Advertising a job is the job of HRM, right? Human resource manager or human resource management. So when you advertise a job, I'm going to skim over this. Okay, it needs to be accurate, sufficient means enough. It needs to be honest. It needs to be positive and relevant. Okay, you need a good content of advertisements. I think you have already explored it when I asked you to do your homework over the weekend. And the important thing that we need to discuss is the choice of medium. Choice of medium, right? Different types of job, different costs of advertising, readership, circulation, frequency, they're all different. They're all different. For example, newspaper, right? Trade magazines, websites, recruitment agencies, public job advertising, window display, etc., etc. Let me ask you a critical thinking question. If if you are to advertise, let's say you're a business owner, right? And you want to advertise jobs for a a messenger that rides a motorcycle and deliver things, right? A messenger and an accountant or a cleaner, right? A meban, housekeeper. Where would you advertise this? Where and how would you advertise for this, right? For your house or for your business? If you've been around town, you may notice an advertisement for a messenger, an accountant, a cleaner, and housekeeper, security guard, etc., etc. How do they advertise it? If you have seen them around in town, how do they advertise this? Anyone? Any guess? There's no right or wrong, right? There's no right or wrong. Any guess? The cheapest method, right? Nobody's going to put this on a newspaper, on television, or like expensive magazines. Okay, the cheapest method would be to post it on a leaflet. I have seen people posting such, looking for such positions by posting it on leaflets, and then they put it in public, in front of the house, on the wall, etc., etc., right? For people to assign. Another method that people like to do is by referral. Referral. If you have friends, okay, let me know, right? And then Facebook group, Line group. Okay, these are for blue collars. Blue collars versus white collars. So white collars means office workers. Accountant is a white collar, right? Not a blue collar. But a messenger, a cleaner, housekeeper, mechanic, right? Electrician, maintenance crews. These are blue collars. Blue collars means they get their hands dirty, right? So that's why they're called blue collars. Their dress has to be like safari blue, right? So when their dress gets tainted, we won't see them. Okay, we won't see the stains. But for white collars, like I think most of you will end up being white collars workers, office workers, entrepreneurs, business owners, startups, that sort. These are called white collars because we don't get our hands dirty. We don't get our hands dirty. So I'm not discriminating which one is good, which one is rich, which one is poor or anything, right? Blue collar workers in the US and in Singapore, they earn a lot, right? They earn a lot. Housekeeper and cleaner in Australia, they earn a lot, right? Sometimes more than certain positions of white collars, right? I'm just saying wish is wish, right? I'm just stating the nature of of the types of each type. Okay. So for blue collars, right, you would be posting it on leaflet, referral, and Facebook group, line group, etc., etc. But if it were a white collar jobs, you would be looking for headhunters, headhunters and job agency, right? Headhunters and job agency, for example, adecco.com, jobdb.com, that sort, right? Or you might actually, if you are a high level, if you have purpose and objectives, right? You might be going straight to the company, right? When I was your age, after graduation, I used to do a walk-in. I just walk in to a company that I'm interested in, okay, and then talk to HR and then fill in applications. But I think in this period of time, this era, people don't do that. Usually they do online, okay? They do online. So you can send them on online. You can look on their company website and see when the job opening is available, okay? And then you send them email, you call them, okay? Now, what is a headhunter? What is a headhunter, right? I just explained job agency and how you look for jobs, but what is a headhunter? Headhunter works for senior level, right? Senior management level or very professional career. So how it works is a company, right, is looking for a very specific job to be filled. For example, senior management or like something very niched. So they cannot, they want to be very proactive. And I don't want to use this word, but it's kind of like steal another player that is currently working for another company. Okay. And they cannot do this themselves, right? So they need to hire a third party, which is a head hunting firm, right? An HR headhunting firm. They need to hire a third party. And that third party headhunting firm will approach that other players, right? Secretly call them, hey, are you interested in a career change, upward change, of course? Another company is interested in you. They're offering a higher pay. Okay, are you interested? So yeah, they're secretly headhunters secretly call them, right? Call that player. And if you're interested, have an interview with me first, right? So we can discuss about this after work, something like that. And then they might approach three, four players and then shortlist them and then finally get that player to work for their client. And the client, this is the client, right? The company that is looking for a specific job to be filled. That's a client. So the client has to pay force commission to the headhunter. Has to pay commission to the headhunter. So usually 1 month. So if the player salary is, let's say, 200,000, right? So that's the commission that the headhunter will receive from the client company. Okay, you understand. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? The last two slides here, staffing issues, right? Staffing issue, staffing issue, there are many issues, right? So to find to find and retain good players is difficult. To find them is difficult. To make them work for a company for a long time, that is to retain good players is difficult, right? Because most good players want to work for big, reputable firms. So it's hard for SME and smaller firms. It's hard for SME and smaller firms. Okay. Everybody wants to work for Marriott and Hilton, right? And minor group. So everyone want to work for Marriott, Hilton, minor group, Anantara, right? Everyone want to work for TCC, Thai Bev. Thai beverage is the beer chang, right? Beer chang does real estate, okay? In case you didn't know. Beer chang, the owner of Beer chang is a tycoon, right? In Thailand, right? Kun Charan. Beer chang has a lot of hotels in Thailand and real estate. For example, Asia Asiatique, not sure how to spell that, right? Asiatique. The one, right? The one department store. It's not called the one, it's called One Bangkok. Okay. Or you want to work for the mall group, Emporium, etc., etc. You want to work for Central Group, Centara, Centara hotel chains. Okay. In Bangkok, Pattaya, in, I don't know, Chiang Mai, Maldives, right? And Central also has bought department stores in Italy, I think. In Italy, and there's also a hotel in New York. Wait, that hotel in New York belongs to TCC, right? Thai Best Group. Okay. And then other hotel chains include Four Seasons. If you don't know these, you should be noting them down, okay? To include them in your assignments. These are cases that you need to Google up, and you can include them in your assignment. Four Seasons, Club Med, and there are many other hotel chains in Thailand. Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand is a hotel hub. You walk around the street, you see a lot of hotels. Okay. You also have to look at Airbnb. A lot of Thai people rent out a housing to through Airbnb to foreigners. You can search agoda.com and then independent resorts and hotels in Thailand. Right? Independent means like a smaller business that is on a brand. Okay, you can write about any independent resource. You can use the examples in your assignment. Okay. So my point was saying that if you're an independent resort hotels in Thailand, it's harder to compete with these big players to search and retain good staff, good employees, right? They all want to work for brand names. Okay. Right. Okay. Now let's take a look at our last session. Okay. Last session, this is session 6. Okay. Today is your last day with me. So session 6 is about performance targets and quality standards. Okay. And underperformance. That's it. Performance and under. So I think this is the easiest session to understand. So the customer service expectations, right? If you work for a hotel, airline, or any other service industry, you need to understand that your clients or your customer expect certain things of you, right? To be treated as a customer, to receive prompt, professional, and courteous service by all our members, by all our staff. Okay. And everything should be handled in a confidential and professional manner. Okay. Confidential and professional manner. So let me elaborate a bit of a strange case about this confidentiality. Hotels. Okay, think with me. Okay, now it's your turn to think and speak. I will be asking questions. I will be asking questions, so you think and speak. Hotels, right? If you are a hotel manager, if you are a hotel manager, if you are a hotel manager and then you have your clients, right? Clients are the ones that come in and pay you, pay the money and they use the room, right? Now, if you have someone approach you, approach you as a manager working in a hotel, right? Someone approach you asking for information of one of your specific client, asking for information of one of your specific clients. For example, they're asking, hey, the one that just went on the fifth floor, right? Room number, what's the room number? His name is Mr. Blah blah blah, right? Mr. Somchai, for example. Did he go in the room with another girl? Right? I'm a detective looking for evidence for affair. My question to you is, are you supposed to give out information of your clients? Type down your answers. Can you, as a hotel manager, give out information of your client? Yes or no? Can't, right? You cannot. Other people type your answers. You think you can or you cannot? Cannot, right? Hotel is a, let me give you more information. Hotel is a private place, right? It's owned by an owner, right? It's a private place. It's not, it's not a restaurant. No, not a restaurant. It's not like a park or a beach, right? There's a public place. So hotel is a private place. So you all know that you cannot, right? You cannot. What situation can you give out information then? If you don't give out information, you're not wrong. Okay. No matter what they say to you, no matter if they say, that is my husband or that is my wife, and he or she is having an affair. I demand this information from you right now. If you don't give me the information, you're a bad hotel manager, right? No matter what kind of frustration he or she is making, you cannot give it out, right? What kind of situation can you give out? Then what situation can you give out information about client? Under what situation? What under what circumstance that you have to give out information about your clients? Do you know? If police with if a police with warrant comes to you, then you have to comply. The keyword is that police need to have a warrant too, right? Warrant means it comes from the judge, and the judge has decided to apprehend such person. Then you have to comply. If you do not comply, It's called obstruction of of apprehension right ขัดขวางการดำเนินงานของเจ้าหน้าที่ตำรวจขัดขวางการสอบสวนขัดขวางการจับกุมขัดขวางอะไรก็แล้วแต่ you will get in trouble too okay so it's okay if it has a warrant but if no warrant then 50-50 not sure still very risky okay because you don't know if that police is a real police or not okay so if let's say your hotel manager, right? And then someone is having an affair at your hotel, or someone is doing drug trafficking. Having an affair is not illegal, but it's just immoral. Actually, affair is illegal, right? If he or she is married and he or she is having an affair, then it's illegal. It is illegal. So what can you do if let's say an independent detective or like the whoever it is, right, approach? What you can do is they cannot enter the room, right? But they can enter central area. For example, the hallway, the coffee shop, right? The hallway, the coffee shop, the alley, the hall, right? Whatever it is. And they can take pictures, right? They can take pictures, but not enter the private room. Okay. And that's how police and detectives build a case, right? So if someone is having an affair, let's say a husband walks with his affair to the hotel. Well, when you can take pictures in the hallway, but you cannot go on and knock the door or anything like that. That would be against the hotel's policy because the hotel has to protect the customers. The reason I'm explaining this is because many years ago, I have seen a news in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, right, they're a Muslim country and they're very strict about um, infidelity, right? Infidelity is having an affair. So on the newspaper, right, it went viral around the world. Okay. On the news says that people storm into hotels to like grab out the couple who had an affair, right? And then after that, the government to attack the couple, and the government issue new law, right? That says if the hotel suspects the client of having an affair, the hotel can report the incident. Well, first of all, the hotel can decline service. It's loading. Okay. Can decline service, and or report the incident, right, to the official. That's the difference between free countries and Muslim countries. So Muslim countries, they take this very seriously. And this goes back to one of the slides that we have discussed before. Sorry, that we have discussed before about the rules and practices in each different countries. Okay, now back to staff performance management process. Okay, so planning, monitoring, developing, rating, and then rewarding. Okay, very simple. Just think of it as yourself as students. Okay, so your students, you need to think about your parents and teachers, right? As a student, your job is to study and get good grades. So how do your teachers or and your parents make sure of that? Well, first they have to plan, right? They plan the education, and then they let you study. Why they let you study? They monitor your performance, right? And they start to develop your performance. If you fall behind in class, they might get an extra tutor for you. And then rating is when you take the tests or the exams, and then you get grades, right? And then rewarding might be if you get straight A's in all your classes, your parents might buy something for you. They might buy something for you, new iPhone or new PS5, for example. Okay, same here when you start working, right? So there's planning, monitoring, developing, rating, and then rewarding. Rating, when you work, right? We already talked about developing, training, and stuff, but rating is called evaluation. So evaluation is when your boss calls you into a private room, right? And then talks about your performance. Questions would be like, what you think you achieved this year? Was it difficult for you, right? How would you rate yourself? How would you improve? Any areas you think you need to improve and how you improve? Ask this sort of questions for you to reflect, right? Actually, the boss already kind of have this in his or her mind too, but they want you to say it as a self-reflection. Okay. Because if you're doing a poor job, right, a very bad job, but then your response was like, hey, I'm an A-star team player, then there's a mismatch between your perception and the reality. Okay. So that's called self-evaluation. And the reward would be your money. Your reward would be, first of all, your salary increase Normally it's 5%, right? If you're just like in school, if you get a C, 5% is C grade in school. Like you're okay, you're not bad. They're not gonna fire you, but they would wish that you can improve. Okay. Because 5% is inflation. Okay. If you're doing such a poor job, then they probably won't give you any raise. Okay, even 5% increase. If you're doing decent job, good job, good job. Good job would be, let's say, 10 to 30% increase in your salary, and they might bump you up, right? You might become a manager, and then manager you become a senior manager, right? And in each bump you get a big pay increase, of course, right? According to the organizational structure. Okay. Another thing is bonus. So all of your students, right? So when I was your age, I didn't understand what a bonus was or paid was. So let me explain it to you. A bonus is suppose your monthly salary is 15,000 baht per month, right? So the way they figure out bonus is they might say at the end of the year, you get 3 months bonus. So that would be 15,000 times 3 equals 45,000. You will get that 45,000 on top of your monthly pay, okay, as a special bonus gift. Okay, how do they determine number three, right? How do they determine number three? So if you number 3 months might be determined from one, economy, two, the company performance as a whole. Three might be your in your individual performance. Okay. So for example, if you work for Google or for Nvidia, right, your bonus can be, I don't know, 10 months, I think. I'm just guessing. But in Thailand, automotive industry in the past used to be very lucrative, right? Like Toyota, particularly Toyota, right? Toyota Motors, Toyota, right? 6 month bonus, right? Or some companies 10 month bonus, okay? Depending on the industry and the economic cycles. So if you're a senior manager, right? If your paid is, imagine if you're an executive at Toyota, your paid is, let's say, 200,000 times six, right? How much is that? How much is that? That's why a lot of people want to get good degree and work, right? They want to get engineering degree, they want to get management degree, work for reputable brands of cars, brands of hotels. You know, hotels probably get a lot of bonus too. Hotels in Thailand, okay, after COVID, that is. Okay, that's the reward system. Any questions? Do you have any questions? All right. If no questions, before we move on to team building, let's take a break. Now it's 11:49, 11:50. Let's meet again in 15 minutes. All right. So that's like 12:5. Okay, let's let's resume back to class. Now, the new topic is about team building, right? Team building. So this chart, this chart team, well, there are many ways to do team building. You can usually organizations, right? If you work for a company, sometimes your boss might take you out on might take you and your colleagues, right? Suppose you work as a team of 4 people, and then your boss, so that's 5 of you, okay? They might take you out team building, informal. Your boss might take your team out to karaoke, right? Or dinner, right? Etc. Etc. Or play sports together, or a laser game, or outing, right? Outing equals goes to the country to do like ATV or car rally, right? Whatever it is, right? That's informal. In a more formal way, they might get an organizer, third party to organize it. Okay, so that's team building. Okay, so the point of team building is that as a manager, right, you want your staff, your employees to work in harmony, right? To work together in harmony. Because if you work together in harmony, it's just good for the company for all reasons, opposite of the sides, right? There's no confusion, it increased productivity, there's no conflict, there's no complaints, um, it improves quality of service and the company performance in general. So that's one aspect of it, of team building. Another aspect is naturally when you get together in a company, right, when you start working together in a company, you need to understand that there is this phrases, usually 4 phrases. One is called forming, right? Forming is when, for instance, you let's imagine you when you first um, enroll in a school or university, and then you meet a lot of new friends. Okay, you get to know your friends, etc., etc. That's called forming. That's called forming. And then after that, if you get together in a group and start reading together or start going out together, there might be conflicts that occur, right? That phrase is called storming. It's called storming. And then after that, norming is when you know your friend's personality, you know what he or she is capable of, what ticks them off, what pisses them off, what delights them, right? That's norming. That's norming. And then after that, that's performing, right? All of you work together on a class project or school project or group project, or if you're in a company, then you start performing together to accomplish certain goals, right? That's 4 stages. Okay, so think of when you think of these four stages, I like to think of Hollywood movies. So hold on 1 second. I like to think of Hollywood movies like this. So if any of you have watched this movie before, The Avengers, right? So forming is when they get to meet new characters, right? Forming is when they get to meet new characters. And then storming is, let me show you the clip, right? This is perfectly what storming manifestation looks like. Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the clip sound? Which bottom do I have to press this time? Can you hear it?
Oh, brother. I'm listening.
Yes or no? I'm assuming you can hear it now, right?
Do not touch me again. Then don't take my stuff. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Shakespeare in the Park? Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? This is beyond you, metal man. Loki will face Asgardian justice. He gives up the cube, he's all yours. Until then, stay out of the way. Forest.
Right? You get the idea, right? This is this is storming, right? They already met each other and then they start fighting. This is storming. So after storming, right? There's norming and then there's the performing. So let me find you a clip where they're finally performing. So this is when you can see that from the very first. Well, the clip that I showed you previously was the 2012, right? Year 2012, the Avengers, right? The very first Avengers movie. This is Endgame, right? The last Avengers movie, right? A year, I don't know, like almost a decade later. You see all the three main characters, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. Instead of the first movie that they fought each other, now they're uniting against Thanos. Okay, you get the idea, right? Well, what's interesting about these two clips that I share was that in the first clip, if you recall, Thor, God of Thunder, right? God of Lightning, used to electrocute Iron Man, right? And then Iron Man was like, "Oh, I had a power up from his electrocution." And in the second clip that I showed, uh, Iron Man said, "Hit me," right? So that's when Thor gave him the lightning to power him up, and then Iron Man used that power to attack Thanos, right? Very similar to storming and performing, right? Those two scenes are representation of storming and performing in the slides that I showed you before. Okay, so that's team building. Any questions? So last session is about underperformance, right? Underperformance is just there are various reasons why a staff might be underperforming. One is inadequate training, mean he wants to do the job. They want to do the job, but they just don't have the skills to do it. This is easy, right? The manager can just train them some more so they have more skills. Or lack of interest in the job, right? This is about choosing the right person for a job. Personal problems is only temporarily. If the problem is gone and they're recovered, then they can be back to do the job. Or poor work ethic. Poor work ethic is just they're just bad employees. They're lazy. They have inclination to take advantage of people, etc., etc. So for underperformance stuff, you need to do a performance review. I explained that already in evaluation. Ask them about how they feel about themselves and how they view themselves first before giving feedback. And how to motivate employees, right? How to motivate employees. Providing flexible work life. This is this slide, please note that this slide was made in 2013. Okay. So providing flexible work life was not common back then, right? Decades ago. But in modern days, particularly after the COVID, this flexible work life is very prevalent, more prevalent. Okay. People, some companies they offered as a norm that their staff can work from home. Okay. And then only 2 days in the office, and then the rest they can work from home. Just carry the laptop around with them. Okay. Bonus and benefits, I explained that already. And then ensuring job security. So job security is not something you can control. So that's why I say people like to apply for bigger companies because they view bigger companies as being more able to provide them with job security. Okay. Giving responsibilities, giving responsibilities is important. Workers who are given responsibility, who are given more responsibilities, um, they feel that the boss trusts them. Okay. So the thing is, it has to be balanced because let me tell you, when in real life, in organization, when your boss want to fire a staff, they can give overload. They can overload them with responsibility to 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 make them leave the job, right? To make them quit by themselves. Or on the other hand, they can give no responsibility, no assignments, no tasks to the staff, right? And the staff kind of can understand that he or she is not valued anymore and it's time to move on. Okay, and then proper working condition and then career advancement. Right? This is last part of the session. Discipline and grievance, right? Discipline means discipline and grievance is given when the staff is underperforming, right? It's underperforming. For example, comes to work late all the time, or they've been absent for too many times. they there's something nowadays called quiet quitting. This is staff perform only sufficiently with no enthusiasm. Staff only perform sufficiently with no enthusiasm. It's a quiet quitting, right? They're just there to get the wage or the paid, and they don't want to do anything more than that. They're not enthusiastic to advance in their career, to be promoted. Okay. And this comes because nowadays there's online side hustle. It's because of the online side hustles. Sometimes, well, you see like teachers or nurses or any other or careers, right? Doctors, any career in general. Instead of performing the work 9 to 5 every day, they sometimes they do side hustles on their free time, okay? Like posting on YouTube, IG, Facebook, or sell things online, for instance. And then they find that it's more satisfying. It's more um, it makes more money or whatever reason. So that's one of the reasons people nowadays have quiet quitting. So usually discipline and grievance, you need a third party to take action, right? For example, if the staff versus boss, okay, the staff want to quit and the boss doesn't like him or her, then you need third party, and the closest third party would be HR. You might be able to talk to the HR. HR is supposed to keep your secret, keep it confidential, right? Or some companies, they hire third party firm to let go of their staff. For example, there's a movie, right, called there's a movie, a Hollywood movie called Up in the Air. Not sure if any one of you have seen this, but Up in the Air is about this guy, right? Josh Clooney. Josh Clooney, he is like an independent firm hired by other companies to when companies want to let go of their employees, right? They hire this guy to talk to employees. So there's no antagonism, there's no hatred of the staff towards the company. So the process is smooth and the good faith between all parties are kept. Right? Okay, any questions? Any questions? We have covered all the contents. Do you have any questions? Anyone has any questions? We have half an hour left. So I like to use this half an hour to help you with your assignment. In the beginning of this class, in our first class, when I was stating the rules, I have mentioned that every class, right, you should be taking notes, notes of my examples, the hotels, the name of the hotel chains that I give you, etc., etc., right? You take good notes, and all those notes can be compiled together. We've been meeting 4 times. Today is the fifth time, right? So you should have taken 4 or 5 times um, of your notes, right? Do you have that in your computer, in your notebook, in your iPad, right? Your notes. Your notes should be able to answer this. This is the assignment. I believe that you have it. It was given to you by Kun Nell, right? Do you have it or no? Do you have it or no today? Yes or no? Is everyone still with me? Is everyone still with me? Olga, are you still here? Kamsai, Ice, Kawikun. Everyone still here? Do you have any questions with your assignment?
Yes, I do actually, Azam. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Art.
Yeah, I was wondering, is that like or in the content in the assignment, is it about only one, the organization that we're choosing?
You can choose one organization or more.
Right. Yeah.
You can choose more than one organization. You can choose um you can choose a hotel, a resort, you can choose an airline, you can choose a travel agent, agoda.com, booking.com. You don't necessarily have to stick to one organization and explain all aspects. You can choose any organization that suits, that makes your life easy for you to answer that aspect of question.
Right. So like basically there was like 4 topics and like and I wonder that like in each topic can I choose the different organization?
4 topics, right? So let's have a look together. Like what is your topic number one
Yeah, that was like the first one is like manage a
here?
travel agency, and the second is like manage tour, and the third is like manage the performance of stuff. Like
You can choose differently. You can choose anything differently.
right, yeah. So like in each topic, I can choose like the different one. Right.
Correct. In different topics, you can choose different companies. Yes.
And how about in each topic, can I choose more than one?
In each topic, can you choose more than one? You can, if you're the one that you're chosen, you have explained enough.
Right. Because
Right.
like
Just
okay.
explain one company sufficiently first, right? And if you have any points that you want to add, then you can bring in the second company to explain. Yes. Yes, you
Oh,
can.
right. Okay.
This
Because
is
I afraid that like maybe one organization might not be like include all of this aspect that they're asking like that.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I understand. I understand. Exactly. So if you choose just one organization, right? This one organization might answer some of the topics on some of the questions, and it might not answer other topics or questions. That's why you can choose more than one organization. Just choose whatever you feel like you have a lot of juice to explain, choose anything that you can keep it flowing in your explanation. but make it tangent. Okay, make it tangent. Tangent mean makes your company that you choose be able to answer the questions, be able to explain the answers.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Like for example, if you look at 1.1, right? If you remember our first class 1.1, product and service that meet customers' needs, including special interest tourism, I would choose I would choose hotels for this. I might choose a hotel in Pattaya or Hua Hin or Maldives that I've been to, right? Or maybe I can choose like two or more, one in Pattaya, one in Hua Hin, right? But then for 1.2, the value of ancillary products, I would still stick with hotel, right? I explained this. Um, legal considerations and confidentiality issues. I explained that in the first class. And I gave you another example about Indonesia hotels in this class, right? So I would choose hotels. But 1.1, I might choose a hotel in Pattaya. And then 1.3, I might choose to talk about hotels in Indonesia, right? They're different hotels, but they're still hotels. Okay, and then 1.4, identify areas of improvement in travel agencies operations. That I need to switch to travel agencies. They're asking about travel agencies, not hotels. So I have to change. I cannot stick to hotels. And 2.1, I have to switch to tour operators. Okay. Functions of different types of tour operators. The key is they want you to explain different types. So yeah, we discuss outbound, inbound, domestic, independents, and specialized tour operators. All right. Any other questions? Any questions from the assignment that you are not clear about? And you need me to like give you an illustration or examples? It's pretty much everything that we have discussed in class, right? Every session. If you've been listening to my illustrations, examples, and you've been taking note, you'll be fine. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. Any points that you want to ask me again? Any points that you want me to repeat?
Sorry, now I'm not sure where can I get the the handbook that you're showing.
This handbook that I'm showing,
Right,
you can get it from Hunel.
right. Okay.
You know Hunel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ask from her. Ask this from her. You think you have enough hotels lists and hotels cases to answer all this? Right. The hotel names that I gave you, like Marriott, Hilton, Four Seasons, Club Med, Anantara, right? Is there anything else you want me to emphasize or explain? Do you know what tour operators are out there? Do you know what tour operators are out there? You can Google it. Butterfly tour. Siam Lux, right? No, there are many of them. Right? This one has been there a long time ago. It's called MD Tour. Yeah, it's still there. It's still there. MD Tour has been around since I was a kid. Butterfly Tour has been around since I was a kid too. Okay, these are the tours, right? You can also explain about YouTubers, right? I roam alone. This girl is a YouTuber. She's like a tour guide, basically, an online tour guide, taking people to places for free because she gets the money from sponsors. Okay, you can use this as a tour guide. You can use Bear Grill as a tour guide. How to spell his name? Bear here. Bear Grill. He is British. This guy is also a tour guide, right? Like more than he was an ex-military, and then after he retired from the military, he does like tour guiding on YouTube, but to like adventurous, exotic places. His theme is adventurous, adventurous. He's even on Netflix, right? He's in the jungle, in the dangerous places, right? You can be creative and explain about backgrounds in your assignment if they ask you about tour guides. You can explain Airbnb in your assignment. You can explain Club Med in your assignment. Okay, go look up Club Med, right? Here, resort for everyone. It's a family resort. You can look up Centara. The curriculum is British, right? I used to have a student who asked me like, "Hey, this curriculum is British. Do we need to use British examples of hotels and restaurants?" The answer is no, no. You can use any countries, right? You're Thai. We are Thai, so we can use Thai examples. Centara Hotels and Resort.com. Okay, go look this up. You can also look up agoda.com. This is an Asian, right? Agoda.com and booking.com. You can use restaurants. Um, Restaurants that foreigners like to visit in Thailand would be Jie Fai, Pad Thai Patupi, right? Everyone knows about her. Foreigners know about her. You can use Tong Tong Smith. Right? Chinese people like to eat here, okay, as well as Thai people. Everything clear? Anything else you'd like to ask? Any questions? You all know what to do, right? With the assignment. No questions, no further questions. Crisis management and contingency management, you can use United Airlines that I showed. Um, there's there is another case that I did not. Sometimes I explain this case in other classes. It's about Royal Jomtien Resort in Pattaya, right? Fire incident long time ago. So 1997, that's like 20 years ago. So what happened there was the kitchen was on the ground floor, right? And then the worker changed the gas barrel, but then the chef was still doing the frying wok. So the whole kitchen caught fire. And so the hotel visitors were trapped, right, on the second floor through the top floor. And they cannot exit the hotel because the sprinkler system, the water sprinkler system did not work. It malfunctioned, and the exits were locked. I think they had two exits, and one of them was locked. So a lot of people passed in that incident. You can also Google this, and you can also write about it in your assignment, or you can use COVID case, right, in your assignment. You can use the recent earthquake case that just happened 2 weeks ago in your assignment, how hotels manage them, right? Any other questions? Okay, would you like me to dismiss the class early? We have 10 minutes left. Would you like to go to lunch, or is there any points you want me to clarify it for you?
Okay, sorry, Azan. I got another question.
Yes.
Regarding about what I mentioned. Now I'm looking at the example of the assignment that they got distinction, and like all of the in the article is just like about one organization. So like,
You can use one organization. I'm not sure if they got distinction because they only use one organization.
right, that's what I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
like,
They
yeah,
might got it for different reasons because their explanation and articulation is on point and clear.
right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you.
All right. If no further questions, I can dismiss class early. We have 10 minutes left. Any questions? Anyone? Oh, you can also use example of tsunami, right? Tsunami 2004. ภูเก็ตป่าตอง Okay, if no further questions, right? I wish you best of luck with your assignment. And I wish you to be safe during the Songkran holidays, all right? Just have fun, but stay away from crowded place, okay? Stay away from crowded place. Or if you want to be in a crowded place, just be vigilant and look for safety exits and just understand how you're gonna take care of yourself if any crisis erupts. Okay. All right, you may go to lunch and have a good time, everyone. All right. Hope to see you again in some other classes. Okay.
Thank you ครับอาจารย์
Okay. Bye bye.